My name is Jeff Bezos. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to ask you a question. Imagine a small, dusty garage filled with books and a dream. That was Amazon in the beginning. We were a tiny company, barely scraping by. Many people didn't believe in us. They said we would fail. But we had a secret, a blueprint, a philosophy that guided every decision we made. It wasn't about quick profits or chasing the next trend. It was about something much more powerful. This blueprint, this way of thinking, is what took us from a garage to a global powerhouse. And it's not exclusive to Amazon. It can be applied to any business, large or small, to achieve exponential growth. It's about building a virtuous cycle, a momentum that feeds itself, a perpetual motion machine for growth. In this video, I'm going to share that blueprint with you. I'm going to show you the 4 phases of scaling your business from $0 to $100 million using the very same principles that propelled Amazon to success. Now, before we get started, I want to make a small request. If you find value in this information, if you believe that obsession over your customer is the key to long-term success, then I encourage you to subscribe to this channel. Why? Because we're dedicated to bringing you the most actionable advice, the most insightful strategies to help you build an enduring business. Don't miss out on this opportunity to learn from our experience. Subscribe now, and let's build something truly remarkable together. Ready to unlock the secrets to scaling your business? Let's dive in. Phase 1. The Day 1 Foundation, Establishing the Obsession. My name is Jeff Bezos, and if there's one thing you must understand before you write a single line of code or ship your first box, it is this. It is always day 1. Most companies, once they find a little bit of success, start to drift into day 2. Day 2 is stasis, followed by irrelevance, followed by excruciating, painful decline, followed by death. To scale from 0 to your first million, and eventually to 100 million, you must anchor your foundation in the day 1 mentality. In this first phase, we aren't just building a business. We are planting the seeds of an obsession. Number 1, the empty chair policy. In the early days of Amazon, I would bring an empty chair into our most important meetings. I told my team that the chair was occupied by the most important person in the room, the customer. To scale from $0, you cannot be competitor-focused. If you are competitor-focused, you have to wait until there's a competitor doing something before you can move. But being customer-focused allows you to be pioneering. You don't ask what your competitors are doing. You ask what the customer needs that doesn't exist yet. You must work backward. Start with the customer's problem. Write the press release with the solution before the product even exists, and then, and only then, do you build the technology. If you can't describe the value to the customer in a simple press release, you don't have a business. You have a hobby. Number 2, choosing the beachhead, the book strategy. When I started, I didn't try to sell everything. I looked for a beachhead. I chose books because there were more items in the book category than any other category, millions of titles. It was a category where the long tail gave us a massive advantage over physical stores. If you want to scale to $100 million, do not try to be everything to everyone on day 1. Find the one niche where the physical world or the current market is failing the customer most miserably. Be the absolute best in that tiny sliver of the universe. Once you own the book category of your industry, the infrastructure you've built will allow you to conquer the rest. Number 3, high-velocity decision-making. To get off the ground, you have to be fast. Most people think quality decisions take a long time. They are wrong. To scale, you must distinguish between 2 types of decisions. Type 1 decisions, these are one-way doors. They are irreversible and highly consequential, e.g., selling the company or changing your core brand. These should be made slowly and deliberately. Type 2 decisions, these are two-way doors. If you make a mistake, you can just walk back through them. At $0 to $10 million, almost every decision is a Type 2 decision. If the product feature fails, change it. If the pricing is wrong, fix it. If you wait for 100% of the data, you're moving too slow. You should make decisions when you have about 70% of the information you wish you had. If you wait for 90%, in most cases, you're being too slow. Number 4, The culture of no social cohesion. This sounds counterintuitive, doesn't it? But in phase one, you don't want social cohesion, where everyone agrees just to be nice. You want a culture that seeks the truth. I call this disagree and commit. If you have a vision and your team disagrees, they should challenge you. But once a decision is made, everyone must commit 100%. To scale, you need a team of missionaries, not mercenaries. Mercenaries want to flip. Missionaries want the mission. Missionaries build better products. Phase one is about survival, yes, but it's mostly about rigor. If you don't get the customer obsession right when you are making $0, you will never survive the complexity of making $100 million. You are building the base of the mountain. But once that base is solid, once the customer starts to trust you, that's when we start to turn the wheel. That's when the momentum begins. Phase two, the Flywheel Ignition, driving the virtuous cycle. My name is Jeff Bezos, and this right here is where most entrepreneurs get it wrong. They think growth is a linear process. They think you do A, then B, then C, and eventually you hit $100 million. But at Amazon, we don't believe in linear. We believe in cycles. We believe in the flywheel. To scale from your first few millions to the mid-8 figures, you cannot rely on manual effort alone. You are one person. Your team is small. You will burn out. To reach $100 million, you need to build a machine where every unit of effort you put in at the top creates 2 units of output at the bottom. You need momentum that feeds itself. Number 1, identifying your core inputs. A flywheel is a heavy circular wheel that takes a lot of effort to start spinning. You push and it moves an inch. You push again, it moves 2 inches. But eventually, the weight of the wheel starts working for you. For us, the flywheel looked like this. Lower prices lead to more customer visits. More visits attract more third-party sellers. More sellers give us better selection. Better selection and scale allow us to lower prices even further. If you want to scale, you must identify your 3 to 5 inputs. These are the things that, if you improve them, the rest of the business must get better. If your inputs don't feed each other, you don't have a flywheel. You just have a list of chores. Number 2, the relentless lowering of cost structure. In phase 2, your goal is to become the low-cost operator. This doesn't just mean selling things for cheap. It means being operationally efficient. Most companies, as they grow, get fat. They hire too many people. They buy fancy office furniture. They lose track of the pennies. At Amazon, we used old doors as desks for years. Why? Because a fancy desk doesn't make the customer's life better. Every dollar you save in your operations is a dollar you can hand back to the customer. When you hand that dollar back to the customer in the form of lower prices or better service, they reward you with loyalty and volume. That volume gives you more data and more power to negotiate with suppliers, which lowers your costs again. This is how you starve your competitors out of the market. Number 3, the premium on passive growth. At this stage, your marketing should not be your primary driver of growth. If you have to buy every single customer through ads, you will never reach $100 million profitably. Your growth must be structural. In phase 2, we launch Amazon Prime. On the surface, it looked like a bad business move. Giving away free shipping for a flat fee? It cost us a fortune in the short term, but it changed the customer's psychology. Once a customer paid for Prime, they wanted to get their money's worth. They stopped checking other websites. They came to us first. Ask yourself, what can I offer that makes it illogical for my customer to shop anywhere else? Number 4, measuring what matters, inputs versus outputs. In phase 2, I stopped looking at output metrics like stock price or even total revenue as my primary data points. Why? Because you can't do anything about revenue. Revenue is a result. Instead, we focus on input metrics. How many new items did we add to the catalog this week? How many minutes did it take to move a package from the shelf to the truck? How many times did a customer have to call us because we made a mistake? If you manage the inputs with fanatical discipline, the outputs, the $100 million, will take care of themselves. You don't manage the scoreboard. You manage the play on the field. Phase 2 is the hardest part. It requires the most patience because the wheel is heavy and it moves slowly at first. You will feel like you are working 100 hours a week for 1% growth, but stay steady. Don't change your strategy just because it's hard. If you are stubborn on the vision but flexible on the details, the wheel will eventually catch. And when it does, it will start to spin so fast that no competitor will be able to touch you. Phase 3. High-velocity decision-making. Scaling the human machine. I.am Jeff Bezos. We've built the foundation. We've ignited the flywheel. The revenue is climbing. $20M, $50 million, $80 million. You can feel the wind at your back. But now, you face a new, more dangerous enemy than your competitors. That enemy is complexity. As you scale toward $100 million, your company naturally wants to become a giant, slow-moving blob. Communication, overhead starts to eat your soul. You spend more time in meetings talking about work than actually doing work. If you don't reinvent how your people interact, the very weight of your success will crush your innovation. In Phase 3, we stop managing tasks and start managing velocity. Number 1, the two-pizza team rule. As we grew Amazon, I realized that large teams are where ideas go to die. When a team gets too big, people stop innovating and start coordinating. Social cohesion becomes more important than the truth. So, we implemented a strict rule, the two-pizza team. If you cannot feed a team with 2 large pizzas, that team is too big. Why? Because small teams are agile. They are autonomous. They have ownership. At $100 million, you shouldn't have one giant department for marketing or engineering. You should have dozens of two-pizza teams, each with their own specific mission and their own P&L, profit and loss. This allows the company to act like a decentralized fleet of speedboats rather than one massive, rusting tanker. Number 2, banishing the PowerPoint, the narrative memo. Communication is the tax you pay for being big. To lower that tax, we did something radical. We banned PowerPoint. PowerPoint is easy for the presenter and hard for the audience. It hides weak thinking behind bullet points. Instead, we moved to 6-page narrative memos. In every important meeting at Amazon, the first 30 minutes are spent in total silence while everyone reads a memo. It creates a shared mental map. You cannot hide a lack of logic in a narrative. If you want to scale to $100 million, you must demand deep thinking from your leaders. High-quality memos lead to high-quality decisions. Number 3, disagree and commit. At this scale, you will have internal friction. That's healthy. What isn't healthy is compromise for the sake of getting along. Compromise usually leads to a mediocre middle ground solution that satisfies no one. If a team lead believes in a project, but the rest of the room is skeptical, I often say, I disagree with this, but I'm going to commit to it. I want you to win. You need to move fast. You don't need consensus. You need commitment. If you wait for everyone to agree, the window of opportunity will slam shut. Give your two-pizza teams the room to be wrong, as long as they are moving at high velocity. Number 4, inventing on behalf of the customer. As you approach $100 million, you might think you know what your customers want because you have the data. But data only tells you what they're doing, not what they need. Customers are divinely discontent. Their expectations will never stay static. Yesterday's wow becomes today's ordinary. To scale further, you must invent on their behalf. They didn't ask for Amazon Web Services, AWS. They didn't ask for Kindle. They didn't even know they wanted a speaker they could talk to in their kitchen. We built those things because we were willing to be misunderstood for long periods of time. In Phase 3, you must protect your inventors from your operators. Operators keep the $100 million flowing. Inventors build the next $1 billion. Phase 3 is about institutionalizing speed. If you can make high-quality, high-velocity decisions with small, autonomous teams, you have solved the big company problem. You have kept the heart of a startup while wielding the muscles of a giant. But there is one final level. The level where you don't just win the game, you change the board entirely. Phase 4, radical invention and long-term thinking. The horizon of dominance. My name is Jeff Bezos. If you have followed a map this far, you are at a dangerous crossroads. You have reached $100 million. You have a flywheel that hums. You have teams that move fast. Most founders at this point start looking for the exit. They want to sell. They want to relax. They start focusing on the next quarter's earnings report to keep the bankers happy. That is the beginning of the end. To move beyond $100 million. To build something that lasts for decades. Something that changes the very fabric of how people live. You must embrace the most difficult discipline of all, the long-term horizon. You must be willing to be misunderstood, mocked, and even hated for years at a time. In Phase 4, we stop playing the game everyone else is playing. We start building the future. Number 1, the 7-year horizon. Most companies focus on a 2 to 3 year window. If they can't see a return on investment in 36 months, they kill the project. At Amazon, we don't do that. We work on a 7-year horizon. When we started Amazon Web Services, AWS, people thought we were crazy. Why is a bookstore selling cloud computing space to developers? The critics asked. For years, it was a money pit. It looked like a distraction. But we knew that if we could build the infrastructure of the internet, we wouldn't just be a retailer. We would be the utility company for the digital age. If you lengthen your time horizon, you can compete against much larger companies because they are too impatient to wait for the seeds you are planning to grow. If everything you do needs to work in 3 years, then you're competing against everyone. If you're willing to invest on a 7-year horizon, you're now competing against a fraction of those people. Number 2, the culture of willingness to fail. As you scale toward 9 and 10 figures, the cost of failure goes up. This scares people. They become risk-averse. But here is the truth. To grow, your failures must grow with you. If the size of your failures isn't growing, you're not inventing at a size that can actually move the needle. At Amazon, we have failed at a scale of billions of dollars. The Fire Phone? A disaster. It cost us hundreds of millions. But the lessons we learned from the Fire Phone about hardware, about voice recognition, about mobile ecosystems, led directly to Alexa and the Echo. You must create a safe haven for failure within your $100 million company. If you punish your 2 pizza teams for trying something bold that didn't work, they will stop trying. And a company that stops trying is a company that is waiting to be disrupted. Number 3, the everything store mentality, platform versus product. At $100 million, you are likely a product company. To reach the next level, you must become a platform. A product is something you sell to a customer. A platform is something other people build their businesses on top of. We open our product, the website, to third-party sellers. Now, more than half of everything sold on Amazon is from independent businesses. We open our infrastructure, the servers, to developers through AWS. We open our logistics, the warehouses, through Fulfillment by Amazon FBA. By turning our internal costs into external services, we turn our biggest expenses into our biggest profit centers. Ask yourself, what internal tool have I built to run my $100 million business that other people would pay to use? That is your next billion-dollar flywheel. Number 4, maintaining day 1 in a day 2 world. As I've said before, day 2 is stasis. To avoid it, you must obsessively guard your culture. You must hire missionaries, not mercenaries. You must keep your meetings small and your memos long. But most importantly, you must remain customer-obsessed, not competitor-obsessed. Even at $100 million, even at $100 billion, the customer is always beautifully, wonderfully dissatisfied. They will always want it faster. They will always want it cheaper. They will always want more selection. If you stay tethered to the customer, you will never lose your way. The market will shift, technologies will change, and competitors will rise and fall. But the customer's desire for a better life is the one constant in the universe. Scaling from $0 to $100 million isn't about luck. It's about the relentless application of these principles. It's about the flywheel. It's about the 2 pizza team. It's about the day 1 mentality. It's hard. It's exhausting. It's often lonely. But if you can build a machine that thinks in decades instead of days, you won't just build a company. You'll build a legacy. Now we've covered the 4 phases. You have the blueprint. You have the philosophy. The only question left is, what you could build on your day one. If you're ready to stop thinking small and start building your own flywheel, then you need to be part of this community. We are dissecting the greatest business minds in history every single week. Hit the subscribe button, turn on the notification bell, and join us, because the world doesn't need more mercenaries. It needs missionaries. It needs you. Subscribe now. Let's go to work.